Hello and welcome to another year, fourth consecutive year actually, of 15 days of breakaway roping. I am your host, Jordan Jo Hollabaugh, and I am so excited to bring you our fourth consecutive 15 days of breakaway. I keep saying it, I just pinch myself. I love this time of year. It's a little better than Christmas for me because we get to talk about breakaway roping all day long for 15 straight days. Kind of a big deal. And, I'm just so excited. Over the past 3 years of doing this, we've had over 75,000 people listen to this specific series. So I just want to say a huge shout out to all of our listeners out there. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for helping In the Loop podcast grow. This year is going to be great. I think probably the greatest year ever. Absolutely. We have some really cool things coming down the pike. And I just want to say a huge shout out to our partners this year because I absolutely could not do this without them. This series of 15 Days of Breakaway 2024 is brought to you by Wrangler. Wrangler butts drive you nuts. And we also have other partners such as Patterson Garage and Trailer Repair in Springtown, Texas, Rattler Ropes, Pro Fantasy Rodeo. Go get that breakaway team, y'all. WRWC, the Women's Rodeo World Championships. We've got some really cool questions coming, Fancy's Burning Questions. And Rodeo Now. Upload all of your rodeo videos and have them in one place. I'm excited to be a part of this year's 15 Days of Breakaway. It's really special to me. So thank you guys again for listening. If you have any questions for me, or if you would like to give us any input, I would love to know what you think about these breakaway roping series episodes. And if you have any breakaway roping questions, period, email me at jordan@inthelooppodcast.co. And I will get back to you and answer all of your questions. Make sure you share these episodes with all of your friends. We appreciate your guys' support and helping In the Loop podcast grow. So with no further avail, let's get to it. 15 Days of Breakaway 2024. Here we come. Okay, guys, we are on our final leg of the 2024 15 Days of Breakaway podcast series with In the Loop. I am your host, Jordan Jo. I'm glad to be here today, and we are wrapping it up talking to our friends at Pro Fantasy Rodeo. I am here with the beautiful Ashley Baller. Again, thank you. Welcome to the show, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me again, Jordan. And I am sitting here with the gorgeous you. And not only are you such an amazing businesswoman and producer of In the Loop, but you're also a qualifier this year. So I'm sitting here with absolute royalty.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was very excited to see my name on the Pro Fantasy Breakaway games this year. Pretty excited about it. Yeah, it's just so surreal. And there was an initial game when we first were in Arlington, and now there's a game 2024 in Vegas. So second time. I got my PFR cap. I'm not wearing it today, but my husband stole it. FYI. Thank you, Gail.
Oh, I love that. See, that's what we love about the PFR brand. It's equally for cowgirls as it is for cowboys. So it works out. But you got to steal 100%. It back.
I know. I need to take it back. Like right when I got it out of the box, he's like, "Ooh, is this for me?" No, this is not for you. This is for me. Are you
a qualifier?
Yeah, you should. They didn't have Pro Fantasy back when you were rodeoing, but they do now. So this is mine. But no, I shared it with him. I'm gonna let him wear it a little bit. But I think that's one of the coolest things you guys do for breakaway ropers. You've always included us. You've given us the equal platform that we've asked for. And breakaway games are so much fun, especially the breakaway fantasy game in Vegas. So tell us a little bit about your perspective on the breakaway fantasy game. We've talked about it for the whole 15 Days of Breakaway series with all the top 15. Tell us your perspective of the breakaway fantasy games.
My perspective is I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to tell you why. Number one, it's completely women's focused, and as we are all aware, it's so important to continue to make sure that there's equality in all realms of the Western industry, especially specific to getting the highlight and the spotlight on these breakaway athletes. So I'm absolutely thrilled about it. And I was really excited when I came on to Pro Fantasy Rodeo to learn that not only we had a National Finals Rodeo game, but also a breakaway fantasy game, because our players love it. I mean, they eat it up. And it's funny because the winners from the last couple of years, they've been diehard cowboys. I mean, last year it was a steer wrestler. The year before it was a bull rider. And it's fun to hear the excitement behind putting together these teams. And what I love the most is the field. I mean, these are some exceptional athletes. I mean, you know, you're in there with them, and it's the best of the best. And I don't know if the quality can get any better. I'm like, you guys are going to get down to 5-second runs here soon. What are we going to do? But it's impressive, and it's exciting, and it's a way to educate rodeo fans and non-rodeo fans. And that's what I like about it, is because it's one event. You don't have to learn all the other events in rodeo. You can just get in the game and learn about these incredible women who are actually changing the game.
Well, I love that. And let's talk a little bit about building the fantasy teams. That's one thing I love about you guys, is you're hands on deck when it comes to the fans. And you and I were visiting a little bit earlier, and you're like, fans have been listening to the 15 Days podcast. They've been changing up their teams just a little bit. And you guys help actually build some of those teams for these fans. Like, you guys have such a great community built with Pro Fantasy Rodeo. So talk a little bit about what you're hearing the fans say as far as building their breakaway teams and some of their strategies and how that goes.
Absolutely. Well, it all kind of starts with our fan magazine, and our annual fan magazine. We mail it out. It's free. I think there's still time to get one mailed right to you, but it's also digital. And so we've got the bios for all 15 breakaway qualifiers, as well as expert picks. So we had JJ Hampton throwing in some of her expert opinions and advice this year. But what's fun about it is that you can also guess. And so we provide the fan magazine to make sure that our fans feel as comfortable as possible playing, and so that they feel like they've got a little bit of education going behind it, so that they can really cheer for their teams and root for them on rodeo days. But the other thing is that you can guess. And I say that because 2 years ago, our winner had met Taylor Munsell, and he decided, you know what, I'm just going to play. I'm going to put all my money on Taylor Munsell, and I'm going to guess on the rest. And he won. So you can come in here with 3 years of breakaway fantasy experience. Maybe you've been playing, or maybe you're a fellow breakaway competitor, or you just learned about it yesterday. So we just want everybody to feel comfortable. And here's how it works. So if you're going to build a team, you build your primary team, and there's 5 of them. So it's pick 5. All you have to do is pick 5 breakaway ropers. And there's a $350,000 salary cap, which is what makes it a little bit challenging, because you've got to do some math. You know, you can't go 1 through 5. You've got to put some strategy in there. And that's what I love about it, because we've got some exceptional contestants who have amazing value, including yourself, Jordan. So you are my number 1 pick through and through. And I'm not just saying that, but that's how easy it is. You just pick 5 girls or women, not girls, women, while staying under that salary cap. And it's easy as that.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's fun. Like, as I've talked to the top 15, some of them, which we're all competitive, right? We're just a little bit competitive and crazy. So that's fun. But a lot of us pick our own teams. A lot of us that are married, I've heard like, for instance, I build my team, Raymond builds his team, and then we build a team together, because it's like best of all worlds. A lot of families are playing. I was joking with, Ricky Fanning, her family, everyone in her family is going to play. They're probably going to have like 20 teams, but they were talking about how, they'll be out back being like, hey, get your stuff together if you're on their team, and cheering them and stuff like that. So I think it just brings such a fun element and gets to highlight the sport of breakaway roping. And not only that, like, it's so surreal to me, but we have fans in the breakaway roping, and this gives them a chance to be a part of what we do and who we are, and essentially take home a piece of the win with them.
Exactly. And you definitely have some mega fans. Like I said, there's, we take the calls, we see all the entries coming in, and we get to hear the excitement, which is honestly the best part of the job, because that's what makes it real. And nothing makes me more excited than when I'm sitting on the phone with a player. And like you said, they let me know that, hey, just so you know, once I heard about Jordan Joe's podcast, I have been watching and listening to every one of them. It's helping me make my teams, and it's helping to grow the fan base, because I know for me, I didn't grow up watching football, basketball. No way. I was a rodeo girl through and through. And it's intimidating to get into something if you don't have a level of comfort. And so that's why we love podcasts like this, or experiences where people can engage, because it makes it more comfortable for them, and we can grow those mega fans too. Give them more to feed off of, more fun.
So I have a question for you, Ashley. Being that you didn't grow up in rodeo, obviously you're a true rodeo fan now. You are the queen of the queens. I say you love rodeo queening, and it's a sport for you now. But you are invested in this. So what is your perspective from the outside in? Because I feel like we get so blocked in sometimes, and we only see rodeo because that's what we know. So what are some perspectives as a non-rodeo originator that's come into the sport that you've seen through the breakaway fantasy, pro rodeo fantasy, and just all the things in general of the fan base?
I'm so glad we're talking about this because it's truly what drives the core of my passion. And, like you said, I grew up I was born in like a suburb of Denver. And then my step grandpa got me started with horses when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And from then the rest is history. But it was one of those things that I just admired every bit of it. I was like, I've got to have a way to get involved. So through the years, I went to school for equine sciences. I was Miss Rodeo Colorado. And after the Miss Rodeo America pageant, I'm like, no, I still can't get enough of this. I have got to find a way to contribute to the growth of the sport. And what I love about it is that I'm always cowgirl power through and through. So when I found out that not only could I play a role in growing the sport through fantasy rodeo, but specifically through breakaway fantasy, that's what made me excited, because any way that we can elevate women in our industry, I think is a massive benefit. And for me, I can see the impact that it's actually having. And that's what, again, contributes to what's fueling my passion, because I can see the impact. I can hear it in people's voices, just being able to engage and experience something and have a reason to have some skin in the game. And that's why I love it, because I can see the growth of Pro Fantasy Rodeo from, the 20 years that Casey and Gil grew it even to where it is now. And then the bright future that we have on the horizon. And that's why I can get behind it, because I know that it's making a difference. At the end of the day, I might be paid through Teton Ridge Gaming, but what really pays me is people getting involved with the sport just the way I did and finding their outlets and their purpose, because I wouldn't be where I am without the Western industry. And it's so important that people are encouraged and have more ways to engage.
Absolutely. And I think too, I love how you said you wouldn't be where you are without the Western industry. And I think that's where we all connect, because whether you are a fan or a contestant, the rodeo industry has opened so many doors. There's so many blessings there. And it's just it's such a fun world to live in, and we love it. So I think one of the coolest things I took away from Pro Fantasy the last 4 years is the fact that Shane Fry wins last year, $10,000. He's a bulldogger. Like, I don't know how many times he's pushed my caps, like you said, a bull rider won it the year prior. And so I think that's so cool that people that watch us rodeo and compete with us and around us all year long are playing the breakaway fantasy game. So I think that that's really neat to see that for $25, $24.95 to be exact. Why would you not take that chance? So how many people are starting to throw in their breakaway teams? I know the entries are still open until December 4th. But y'all, it's right now. We need to get our breakaway teams in and get those ready to go. And I mean, who says you can't have 4, 5, 10, 20 teams?
Yes, you should absolutely. You need to, okay, NFR fantasy, I love it. But, it's those entries close on the 5th. But breakaway fantasy, you've got to get on your luck train a little bit earlier. I mean, if you start winning December 3rd and 4th, you don't know what might happen after that. And so, yes, the breakaway fantasy entries, they will close right before the first round kicks off on December 3rd. And we just want as many people as possible to get in the game. And I know this is one thing I've learned about about my experience here at Teton Ridge is that we are so busy, we accept mistakes. And so you might look at that fan magazine and see we put the December 4th entry deadline, but it's actually the 3rd, everybody. So
I know. I was just looking at that in my magazine. I've got it right in front of me, and I was like, oh, well, it's December 4th. And then you said the 3rd, and I'm like, wait, I wrote the 3rd. Huh? So, okay, we had a little misprint in there. Entries are closing Tuesday, December 3rd at 2 p.m. for the breakaway fantasy game.
It's true. December 3rd. That's the one. And you want to know how I found out that mistake? From a fellow player who's obsessed with breakaway fantasy. So that's what I love about it. Yeah, they're watching out for us. And,
they are watching out for y'all. And you guys are so busy. You are putting together the Pro Fantasy Breakaway game. You're putting together the Pro Fantasy game for Vegas. You've also got several other irons in the fire. You are all things Teton Ridge. So it's just one small mistake. It's no big deal. Everybody's excited. It's really cool to know the fans know when the breakaway games end. So cool deal.
Exactly. And it's perfect because we have more ways to tell people through podcasts just like this. Hey, everybody, December 3rd, get your entries, play the game. And you know what's fun is that, we can see the entries coming in, and we can definitely see like the boyfriends or the husbands that are playing as well, because they're out there supporting their women. And that's what's important. Because again, like supporting and growing the sport. And yes, the entries close on the 3rd, and you cannot afford to miss out.
Absolutely.
On first place wins $10,000. We pay $200 to every single first place winner for each round. Actually entered for 10 rounds and the overall. And even better than that is that, what's fun is, like you mentioned, Shane last year, he's a bulldogger. And, we had the bull riders before. So if you're a fellow breakaway fan, get a team, grab your friend. I don't care if it's cowboy, cowgirl, get them in the game, because then you'll have some bragging rights on top of all that.
Well, and I know all of us breakaway ropers, even the ones that are entered, everybody we've talked to on 15 days, they're all going to do a team too. So we're going to have our own little competition breakaway league out back. No big deal.
Ooh, I'm excited for the inside details. What are the breakaway ropers thinking?
I think, everybody's got their different perspectives out there. It's been really, really neat to listen to these past 15 days of girls that have just talked strategy. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people are looking at the round. Some people are looking at the average. But honestly, at the end of the day, there's 7 girls, the top 7, that have an actual financial chance of winning the world title this year, which is really, really cool to say. And I think it's neat to see that the rodeos are showing up. They're showing out. They're bringing equal added money for breakaway roping. And almost all 7 girls have over 100,000 won. So, with a little bit better payout at the finals this year, it really is anybody's game to be a world champion this year. So it's going to be a fun race to watch that breakaway roping and the world champions. But then you have 8 through 15 that are they're running at the rounds, they're running at the average, and I think that at the end of the day, Haley Williams said, and I love this. She said, the person who wins the most money is going to be the world champion. And I think that that's really, really true and foremost. So we have it's a marathon, not a sprint. We get to run 10 calves. So I'm just excited to see. And at this point in the game, and which you all know, Ashley, there are so many stinking competitive breakaway ropers out there anymore. Anybody at any time on the right calf can win money. And so, and not even the right calf, sometimes the wrong calf. I mean, these girls have talent just spewing out of them. So it's pretty exciting to see. And I'm excited to get down there. I think everybody's just the electricity coming around Las Vegas, and that time of the year, it's like Christmas for us. So we're all ready to be in Vegas.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And it makes me so excited to hear you talk about it. Because again, like, I didn't grow up in the Western world, so it's like I'm pretty much talking to a celebrity right now. That's what I think is cool. And that's what our fantasy players are excited to hear, because we get some true inside details on contestants and the environment and what your perspectives are and what your insights are. And something that kind of piques my interest is looking at it from a round versus average concept. Because, when people are building their who's going to end up on top. The exceptional contestants here that it's really hard to define, like, well, gosh, because of that, who do I pick? And so would you be able to provide a little bit more insight on the round versus average perspective and how that kind of correlates to those 10 days of consistency?
For us, so when we only get to compete over the 2 days, I think that essentially for us, it's it's almost like a jackpot. We're roping 5 the first day and 5 the second day. We don't have much time in between the rounds. We have like maybe 5-10 minutes in between rounds. So it is a constant scramble. We are ready to rope. We're ready to run. If you're switching horses, you've got somebody back there, 1 or 2 people that are helping you get your horses, get your ropes, get your cattle, all of that kind of sorted out. So it is fast and furious. And I know I say that a lot, but literally, like, we rope 5 calves in 2 hours, all 15 of us, every, 5 rounds. And so there's not a whole lot of time in between. And so I think that puts a little bit of perspective on it. Is I don't know that so much anybody sets out to be like, I'm going to win the average, because there's so much that could happen in those 2 days, in those 5 rounds. If you get kicked off on a good merit and you're having a great day, you could, potentially win 5 go rounds or place in 5 go rounds. But also on the other foot, if you get kicked off on a bad ring, then it's like, it's really hard to get back in it. And so it's a little bit different than what we see at the original Vegas and the Thomas and Mack 1 every 10 days. We're getting 5 in 2 days. So it's a different game, I think, as far as, yes, I think a lot of people go in their, perspective wanting to win the average. But essentially what I've heard from these ladies, they're taking 1 calf at a time. Whoever wins the most money at the end of the day is going to come out. So I really do. What I've heard over and over this year is we're taking 1 calf at a time. We're running 1 calf at a time. We're just kind of seeing where it ends up. I mean, everybody has, goals, dreams, and aspirations. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit different than Vegas and the Thomas and Mack. So I think that's where you see more girls just focusing on that 1 calf at a time.
I could see that being incredibly important. I mean, it's on a day-to-day basis, it's hard to take things one moment at a time. So I can't imagine that is rapid fire. I mean, 5 go rounds one day, 5 the next. And I mean, I can't imagine what you have to do to work on your mental strength on those days to ensure that, if something goes wrong, doesn't matter, forget about it, move on, focused on the next run. And that's what I think makes the breakaway ropers even more I just am in awe of them, because that's crazy. I mean, it's back to back to back. And normally people have a whole day to kind of, process what happened the night before. How can I impact this? Was it a horse? Was it me? Was it my draw? What went down? And sometimes we just wake up having a bad day. So that is extreme. And again, another reason to just admire what you all are doing, because that takes some supreme, again, mental strength and athleticism to just continue going. And, things can go wrong, but they can also go very well. So to have to kind of maintain that excitement and that confidence while you're still trying to just do the job well is wild to me. So I love it. You all inspire me. And the other thing about it is, the difference between some ropers are like gunslingers, right? Like they'll go out there and if they hit every time. As far as, again, with the consistency and, trying to win the most money, but also focusing on each individual run, how do you go about that? As far as, like, are you gunning it for the best run possible, or are you just looking to catch?
I think anymore, you're gunning it at all times for the best run possible because of the competition. I would have said, 4 or 5 years ago, whoever was most consistent was going to come out on the top. But now I feel like you're seeing breakaway ropers that are consistent, that are gunning it every single time. They're pushing the barrier. They're taking their first shot. They are looking for that throw, that fast throw. I think you're seeing the horses. They have stepped up, and there are some amazing horsepower here, especially in the field of these 15 ladies. These horses are pretty much so focused in the back of that box. They are getting across that line at a high rate of speed, and then they are closing it off and stopping as fast as they can to break that rope off. So anymore, honestly, I think that, yeah, there's some consistency in some of these ropers, but anymore, I think you've got to push the barrier. You've got to take your first shot and be as fast as you can every time, because if not, you're going to look up and at the end of the day, you might catch 10 calves, but not win any money.
That is crazy. Again, I mean, that is intense. You've got to go in there and you just got to rope with authority every round. All right.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
helpful that's helpful fantasy players, though, because, when we're looking at these different analytics and you see how people rope year round versus at the NFBR, I mean, it is different. So I'm glad that we can kind of touch on that and that mentality behind it, because it'll help.
Well, and a lot of these too, I think you see a lot of these ladies rope in the outdoor arenas differently. They're still pushing the barrier, but there's a lot more variables, right? The calves are a little bit further out in front of you. Your horses are having to run a little bit harder. Inside at the South Point, it's going to be fast and rapid fire. You know, you have your few gunslingers and ladies that do well when they're in the buildings and are they are a force to be reckoned with. So I think that it's going to be fast. It's going to be electric. I'm excited for the atmosphere this year. And just to be a part of these top 15 ladies is pretty humbling, but I'm excited.
Absolutely. Wow. I can't wait either. I'm like, can December 3rd and 4th get here any faster?
It's going to be here before we know it. So, okay, Ashley, I've got to turn the tables a little bit on you because you are a part of the 15 Days of Breakaway. We really appreciate Pro Fantasy support. But I want to ask you two questions that I've asked everybody. So you have been a part of Pro Fantasy Rodeo. You've seen all the ins and outs, the breakaway games the last couple years. So what was your favorite memory of this last year inside and outside of the arena?
So last year it was, gosh, I think I'd only been in Vegas for 3 or 4 days, and we closed. It was the day that breakaway fantasy entries had closed, of course. No, it was the day before. And I had gone to the South Point to do a Cowboy Channel interview, and it was right after the final go round, and Shelby had won, and she was waiting for her interview. And honestly, what was so exciting for me, you know, the dust had settled, everybody was clearing out of the South Point. And after 10 rounds of competition, Shelby was so gracious, so kind. Her team was so grateful. And for me to experience that, you know, someone who had just been under extreme pressure and still had, you know, the kindness to share a moment with, you know, myself and Pro Fantasy Rodeo fans is something that was really important. And to see how excited her team was and her sponsors, that was encouraging for me and uplifting. And that's what I love about it, because it speaks to the sport beyond what we see in the arena. It's the hearts of these competitors and their role models. And so, you know, as small as it may have been, I asked if I could, hey, can I take a picture of you? You know, the Pro Fantasy players are going to love this. That picture blew up. I mean, it was insane. I couldn't believe it. And so it was something to me that it was like, you know, these contestants are what the people love, and the fans are obsessed with these breakaway ropers. So that was something special for me, because it really helped to kick off my NFR experience well, but also be able to experience that excitement. So I was thankful for her for taking a few moments, and I know our Pro Fantasy Rodeo fans are as well. And so, you know, that counts as inside and outside of the arena, but I'll give you one more of my favorite memories. And that's probably just working with people like yourself and our team in general, because we are a remote team. And so during National Finals Rodeo, just that entire experience, you know, the days before you get there, the days after it ends, it really helps to cultivate and remind you of your why and what you're doing. So for me, being in the rodeo action, getting to even just walk by people and hear them talk about their experiences is what uplifts me, and that's what I appreciate about it.
I love it. Okay, so now you've parked a new question for me. What is your why?
My why is, it continues to go back to what the Western industry has done for me. You know, to be quite frank, you know, we're younger, and so we always look at like, well, do I always want to be in this industry? Do I not? And I'm just obsessed with it, helplessly obsessed with it, because I know that it's my responsibility to give back to everybody who has paved the way for my success, to be here. And so I really want to continue to be an outlet and a connection point for others who want to find their way in this industry, so that they can feel comforted and get to hopefully find some success through it, whether they're watching and having fun, or hey, maybe it started that way.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. Okay, last and final question on this year's 15 Days of Breakaway 2024. Who do you look up to and why?
Jordan Joe Hollabaugh is who I look up to and why. No, I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. But honestly, since day one, you have been nothing but authentic, genuine, and you always take the time for people. So I look up to you as an individual for that very reason. You are certainly a role model. of mine. But beyond that, you're one to be messed with in the arena. I mean, to see you just succeed I was really cheering for you at the American this year. And so I love it because I can be a fan and I know what the fans feel like to really be like, this is who I'm rooting for. This is who my money is on. And this is who I want to see walk with the most. Being an incredible competitor, you're also a businesswoman. And I see you're knocking out these 15 days of breakaway before you're going to compete yourself. I mean, that takes a ton of grit and determination and belief in yourself. So I admire you in all aspects of this world, and I'm excited to watch you get some business done.
Oh, well, thank you so much, my friend. That warms my heart. I really, really appreciate that compliment. You were very sweet. And just to be able to be surrounded by people like you, that is my why in this industry. I absolutely love it. I love to get to meet these amazing men and women that we've been able to meet through rodeo and the doors that is opened. And I feel like we've just become so great of friends through all the things. And I also want to say, for those of you who don't know, Miss Ashley is now off the market. She's engaged. Congratulations on your recent engagement and all the things you're doing as a woman in our industry and in the sport of rodeo and through pro fantasy. And I know I always love and give so much thanks and gratefulness to Casey and Gail Jones, who have been the founders and starters of this. But just to be on their team, you're kicking butt and taking names.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for working with us to team up and unite to spread the word about Breakaway Fantasy. We're so excited. Like we mentioned, entries close December 3rd. Don't listen to that crazy fan magazine. That was definitely an Ashley error. But December 3rd, it's only $24.95 to play, and you get entered for 10 rounds and the overalls. So do not miss out. Have some fun and get in the action at profantasyrodeo.com. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Absolutely. Thank you, girl.